In 1982, a group of Stanford computer science graduates had a vision that would reshape the entire digital world. Scott McNealy, Vinod Khosla, Bill Joy, and Andy Bechtolsheim founded Sun Microsystems in a small office in Mountain View, California, with just $25,000 and a revolutionary idea. The company name itself was an acronym for Stanford University Network, reflecting their academic roots and networking ambitions. What started as four friends building workstations would eventually become the backbone company that literally powered the internet as we know it. Sun created Java, the programming language that runs on 3 billion devices worldwide. They built the servers that hosted the first websites, developed the Solaris operating system that managed critical infrastructure, and pioneered technologies that every tech company relies on today. Yet by 2010, this titan of Silicon Valley was sold to Oracle for just $7.4 billion, a fraction of what it was once worth. This is the story of how Sun Microsystems illuminated the digital age, only to burn out when the world they created no longer needed them. The early days of Sun were defined by pure technical brilliance and perfect timing. Andy Bechtolsheim had designed a workstation prototype called the Stanford University Network Computer while still in graduate school, and this became the foundation of Sun's first product. The Sun One workstation, launched in 1982, was revolutionary because it offered Unix-based computing power at a fraction of the cost of traditional mainframes. While IBM and Digital Equipment Corporation were selling computers for hundreds of thousands of dollars, Sun sold workstations for under $10,000 that could perform similar tasks. Bill Joy, who had co-created the Berkeley software distribution version of Unix while at UC Berkeley, brought crucial software expertise that made Sun's hardware sing. The company went public in 1986, just 4 years after founding, raising $39 million in one of the most successful IPOs of the decade. By 1988, Sun had captured over 40% of the workstation market, directly challenging established giants like IBM, HP, and DEC. Their motto, "The network is the computer," wasn't just marketing speak, it was a prophetic vision of distributed computing that wouldn't be fully realized for another 20 years. Sun's real genius wasn't just in building faster computers, but in understanding that the future belonged to open systems and networked computing. While other companies jealously guarded their proprietary technologies, Sun open-sourced many of their innovations, believing that widespread adoption would create larger markets they could dominate. They developed Network File System in 1984, which allowed computers to share files seamlessly across networks, becoming the foundation for how modern data centers operate. Their Spark processor architecture, introduced in 1987, was designed specifically for multiprocessing and network operations, making it ideal for servers that needed to handle thousands of simultaneous connections. Sun also pioneered the concept of thin clients with their Sunray terminals, predicting the cloud computing model decades before companies like Amazon and Google made it mainstream. The company's engineering culture was legendary in Silicon Valley, attracting brilliant minds who were given unprecedented freedom to innovate. They established research labs that published groundbreaking papers on distributed systems, network protocols, and computer architecture, many of which became industry standards adopted by competitors worldwide. The creation of Java in the mid-1990s represented Sun's greatest triumph and, paradoxically, the seeds of their eventual downfall. James Gosling and his team at Sun originally developed Java as a programming language for consumer electronics, but they quickly realized its potential for internet applications. Java's revolutionary promise was write once, run anywhere, meaning developers could create software that would work identically across different operating systems and hardware platforms. When Netscape announced in 1995 that they would support Java in their web browser, it triggered a seismic shift in software development. Suddenly, programmers could create interactive web applications that weren't limited by the constraints of static HTML pages. Major corporations began building enterprise applications in Java, attracted by its security features, cross-platform compatibility, and object-oriented design. Sun made the strategic decision to give Java away for free, believing they could monetize it by selling the high-end servers that Java applications would run on. This decision created enormous value for the entire software industry, as Java became the foundation for countless applications, from web services to mobile apps to enterprise software. However, Sun never captured more than a fraction of the wealth that Java created. as other companies built billion-dollar businesses on top of their freely available technology. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, Sun seemed unstoppable as the internet boom created insatiable demand for their products. Every major website, from Amazon to eBay to Google, relied on Sun servers to handle their traffic. The company's annual revenue peaked at over $18 billion in 2001, and they employed more than 39,000 people worldwide. Sun's Solaris operating system powered critical infrastructure at banks, telecommunications companies, and government agencies, earning a reputation for reliability that Microsoft and Linux struggled to match. Their high-end enterprise servers could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each, but companies paid these prices because Sun's systems could handle massive workloads that would crash other platforms. Sun also made prescient acquisitions during this period, purchasing MySQL for $1 billion in 2008, recognizing that open-source databases would become crucial as companies needed to store and process ever larger amounts of data. They bought Storage Tech for $4.1 billion in 2005, positioning themselves as a complete infrastructure provider that could handle computing, storage, and networking needs. The company's research and development spending reached nearly $2 billion annually at its peak, funding breakthrough projects in processor design, distributed systems, and programming languages. However, even as Sun's revenue soared, fundamental shifts in the technology landscape were undermining their business model. The rise of commodity x86 processors from Intel and AMD meant that companies could buy much cheaper servers from Dell, HP, and IBM that ran Linux instead of expensive Spark-based systems running Solaris. Google proved that you could build massive computing infrastructure using thousands of inexpensive commodity servers instead of a smaller number of premium Sun machines. The virtualization revolution led by VMware allowed companies to run multiple applications on the same physical hardware, reducing the total number of servers they needed to purchase. Cloud computing pioneers like Amazon Web Services began offering computing power as a service, eliminating the need for many companies to buy their own servers at all. Sun's decision to open-source Solaris in 2005 was intended to compete with Linux, but it came too late and actually cannibalized their own lucrative licensing revenue. The company's complex product portfolio, spanning everything from microprocessors to storage systems to software, became difficult for customers to navigate compared to more focused competitors. Most critically, Sun never successfully transitioned from selling hardware to selling services and software, even as margins on physical products evaporated due to commoditization. Sun's financial performance began deteriorating rapidly after the dot-com crash, and the company struggled to find a sustainable path forward in the changing market. They posted their first annual loss in 2001, losing over $2 billion as the internet bubble burst and demand for servers plummeted. The company went through multiple rounds of layoffs, cutting their workforce from 39,000 employees at their peak to just over 33,000 by 2009. CEO Scott McNealy, who had led Sun since its founding, stepped down in 2006, replaced by Jonathan Schwartz, who attempted to transform Sun into a software and services company. Under Schwartz's leadership, Sun made the controversial decision to open source almost all of their key technologies, including Solaris, Java, and their development tools, hoping to build larger communities of users and developers. While this strategy was philosophically consistent with Sun's open systems heritage, it made it even harder to generate revenue from their innovations. The company explored various strategic alternatives, including potential mergers with IBM, which offered $7 billion for Sun in 2009 before walking away from negotiations. Sun's stock price, which had reached over $64 per share during the internet boom, fell to under $3 by 2009 as investors lost confidence in the company's ability to return to profitability. The end came swiftly for Sun Microsystems as Oracle swooped in to acquire the company for $7.4 billion in 2010, primarily to gain control of Java and MySQL. Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, who had been friends with Sun's founders since the early days of Silicon Valley, saw the acquisition as a way to own the entire technology stack from hardware to database to application development tools. Oracle immediately began dismantling Sun's hardware business, laying off thousands of employees and discontinuing many product lines that didn't fit their software-focused strategy. The Spark processor business was dramatically scaled back, with Oracle focusing on high-end engineered systems rather than Sun's broader server portfolio. Many of Sun's open-source projects were effectively abandoned or left to stagnate under Oracle's stewardship, leading to community forks like LibreOffice splitting from OpenOffice. The acquisition eliminated one of the few remaining major competitors to IBM and HP in the enterprise server market, consolidating the industry around fewer players. Oracle's handling of Java became particularly controversial as they began aggressively asserting patent claims and pursuing licensing fees that Sun had never demanded, most notably in their lengthy legal battle with Google over Android. The collapse of Sun Microsystems represents one of the most significant missed opportunities in technology history, as a company that created fundamental building blocks of the digital age failed to capture lasting value from their innovations. Sun's technical contributions continue to shape computing decades after their demise. Java remains one of the world's most popular programming languages, running everything from enterprise applications to Android smartphones. Their network file system protocols are still used in modern data centers, and their pioneering work on multi-core processors and distributed systems laid the groundwork for cloud computing. The company's commitment to open standards and interoperability ultimately proved ahead of its time, as these principles now dominate the technology industry through platforms like Kubernetes, Docker, and countless open-source projects. Sun's failure wasn't due to lack of innovation or technical excellence, but rather their inability to adapt their business model to a world where software and services generated higher margins than hardware. They gave away too much intellectual property without developing sustainable monetization strategies, essentially subsidizing their competitors' success. The irony is profound. Sun Microsystems literally built the infrastructure that powered the internet revolution, created programming languages used by millions of developers, and pioneered technologies that generated trillions of dollars in value across the industry. Yet they couldn't translate these achievements into lasting business success. Their story serves as a cautionary tale about the difference between creating value and capturing value, and how even the most brilliant technology companies can become victims of the very revolutions they helped create.